everyone, welcome back. We're going to get into the next story in Kate's book today. So I'm going to go to the table of contents to start. Last time we read The Visit. Remember when Nan and Kate were asleep and they heard pots and pans clanging around? They thought it might have been a fox or a raccoon. Kind of scary. But everybody was okay. So we read The Visit the last time. What story are we going to read this time based on our table of contents? We're going to read The Hike. So what do you think they're going to do in this story if the title of the story is called The Hike? Probably go on a hike, right? Remember the last time that Nan and Kate went on a hike, they found that rare Spanish coin. So I wonder what's going to happen this time. Before we start, I want to go over a few different phrases that you're going to hear. You're going to hear the words a bit. A bit means a short amount of time. So like, it was snowing for a bit. It was snowing for a short amount of time. You're going to hear drifted off, which means carried away. So the leaf in the river drifted off, got carried away. Then you're going to hear carve, which means to cut away at something. All right. So let's get into our story. We're going to read The Hike. So this it's a little bit hard for me to find it on here. So give me a second. Boop, boop, boop. The Hike. And I'm going to make it bigger. And then I'll read it the first time. And then you guys, I'll go through it again and give you a chance to read it on your own. So this story is called The Hike. The next morning we went on a hike. After a bit, we stopped for lunch. When Max finished his lunch, he asked, "Can Kate and I look for rocks?" Jack said, "Okay." "Kate," Max said to me, "bring your fork. We can use it to dig up rocks." I grabbed my fork and we went off to look for rocks. Max pointed at a bump on the side of a cliff and said, "Let's dig that rock out." The rock did not look all that large, but when we started digging, we soon saw that it was larger than it had seemed. After a bit, Max said, "Gee, that must be 2 feet long. We need to keep scratching in order to carve it out of the sides of the cliff." We went on scratching with our forks. "Let's tug on it," Max said. "I bet we can get it out by ourselves." We grabbed and tugged it. It popped out, but so did a big cloud of sand and dust. Max and I fell down. Once the dust and sand had drifted off, I saw Max standing there with the thing in his hands. "It's not a rock," he yelled. "It's a bone!" It was the biggest bone I had ever seen. It was 3 feet long. Jack and Nan came running. "Goodness," said Nan, "that is one large bone. Where did you get it?" Max pointed to the spot where we found it. Jack set the bone on the ground. Then he took a picture of the bone and said, "We need to get an expert to look at this bone and tell us what sort of bone it is." Ooh, I like that story a lot. All right, I'm going to go back to the beginning, give you a second to read it on your own, and then we will answer some questions. If you need more time while you're reading, go ahead and pause the video whenever you need. So go ahead and read The Hike on your own. All right, turning the page, pause it if you need more time. All right, I'm going to turn the page, pause the video if you need more time. All right, turning the page. Pause if you need more time. All right, I'm going to bring myself back on the screen. Bring this to the beginning. I like that story a lot. That was a very, very surprising story. I didn't know that was going to happen. So we'll do some questions together first, and then I'm going to have you answer some questions on your own. What does everyone do in the morning? I'm going to go back into the story to find the answer if you forget. What does everyone do in the morning? They went on a hike. Good. What do Max and Kate do after lunch? If we go back in the story, they wanted to go look for rocks. Yes, they found a bone, but all they wanted to do was look for rocks, right? After lunch, after Max finished his lunch, he asked, "Can Kate and I look for rocks?" That's all they wanted to do. What did they bring with them to look for rocks? Kate has them in her hand. The forks, right? What do you think they were going to use the forks to do? Or why did they bring the forks? You can go back in the story. It says, Max says, we can use it to dig up rocks. So they can use the forks to dig the dirt away and dig up the rocks. Good. So I'm going to turn to this picture once it loads. Based on the picture and Max and Kate, how do you think they feel about their discovery of the bone? And why? Maybe excited, maybe really happy, maybe a little bit of surprise based on their faces. They both are smiling. Max has it over his head. He looks really, really excited about it. I would be too if I found a bone. That's so cool. So, make a prediction. What kind of bone do you think they found? Who knows? Could be a dinosaur bone. Could just be, I don't know, some kind of a wolf's bone or a bear bone. Who knows? Whatever you think, maybe we'll find out. All right, when you're done reading the story, you're going to open up this Google form called The Hike. This one's pretty easy today. You have 3 questions. When did Max and Kate dig up the bone? What did Max and Kate use to dig out the bone? And how long was the bone? Then question number 4, you're going to answer. Tell me who needs to look at the bone to tell, who can tell Max and Kate what kind of bone it is. Okay? If you go back in the story, let me turn the page. So Jack's excited to see the bone. Jack here tells them who they need to bring the bone to figure out what kind of bone it is. So you have 4 easy questions today. 3 you choose your answer. 4th one, type it in, and you're done. Good job today, guys. See you next time.